must not go back to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry this year.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on the PotterWatch YouTube channel. Today, we will be delving into the enigmatic and chilling life of one of the Wizarding world's most notorious figures, Tom Marvolo Riddle, better known as Lord Voldemort. From his troubled beginnings in an orphanage to his rise as the Dark Lord, Tom Riddle's journey is as fascinating as it is terrifying. How did a gifted young wizard become the most feared dark wizard of all time? Stick around as we uncover the secrets, ambitions, and dark transformations that shaped the life of Voldemort. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more magical insights and adventures, as this will be a multiple-part series which you will not want to miss out on. Now, let's journey into the shadows and explore the life of Tom Riddle. Tom Marvolo Riddle was born on December 31st, 1926, in Wall's Orphanage in London. Riddle's heritage consists of two completely different families, one being a family of purebloods and the other Muggles. The Gaunt family was a pureblood wizarding family known for the connection with Salazar Slytherin and the descent from the Peverell family. Marvolo Gaunt, Tom's grandfather, was the patriarch of the family during the early 20th century. He is proud and violent, obsessed with his heritage and the family's heirlooms, including Slytherin's locket and the Peverell ring. Morfin Gaunt was Tom's uncle, who was similarly unstable and aggressive, which makes sense because he spent time in Azkaban for attacking Muggles. Marvolo's daughter, Merope, was a broken individual who was always mistreated by her father and brother. Unlike them, she is not obsessed with blood purity and falls in love with Tom Riddle Sr., a wealthy Muggle who ends up being the father to the Tom Riddle we all know to be Lord Voldemort. Riddle Sr. was actually tricked into marrying Merope Gaunt through the use of a love potion. However, once the effects wore off, Riddle abandons Merope, not knowing she is pregnant with his child. On a cold, wet December night, Merope staggered to the door of Wall's Orphanage, where she gave birth to young Tom Riddle in 1 hour and died within the next. Riddle would spend the next 11 years cooped up in the dingy orphanage, completely unaware of his wizarding heritage. Since the Muggle orphanage staff didn't know anything about his mother, they, of course, did not know anything about his magical background. Instead, they believed that Merope was a circus worker, as Mrs. Cole told Dumbledore shortly before his first meeting with Riddle. Despite his ignorance of his mother's true background, Riddle did have some grasp on his magical abilities beyond that of normal magical children of his same age, and an unusually high degree of control over them. He could move objects with his mind and cause them to float wherever he wished, manipulate animals and creatures as he wished, and speak Parseltongue, the rare magical ability to speak with snakes, a skill that all direct descendants of Slytherin have the ability to speak. After getting into a fight with a fellow orphan, Billy Stubbs, he used his powers to hang the boy's rabbit from the rafters, showing the early stages of evil that brewed inside the boy. On one occasion, he took two orphans, Dennis Bishop and Amy Benson, into a cave where he would later plant the locket Horcrux, in which he performed an act so horrifying that the two orphans were traumatized into silence. When Riddle was 11, Dumbledore, who at the time was the Transfiguration teacher at Hogwarts, talked to Mrs. Cole, who informed him of how unusual the boy was, sharing tales of his extraordinary influence over the other children. When the two were at last introduced, Tom believed him to be a doctor or a psychiatrist of some sort, coming to take him to an asylum because of what the staff had seen, as demonstrated in this following excerpt. "You're the doctor, aren't you?" "No, I'm a professor." "I don't believe you. She wants me looked at. They think I'm different." Despite the defiance from young Riddle, he was convinced after Dumbledore demonstrated his power by using flame freezing charm on Riddle's cupboard and revealed that Hogwarts was a school for people with magic, whereupon Riddle realized that that was what his abilities were. Tom also mentioned his proficiency for Parseltongue in the same meeting, asking if it was a common gift amongst wizards, to which Dumbledore responds, "It is unusual but not unheard of." At a very early age, it was clear that Riddle displayed a desire to be different and set apart from others, as it was hinted when he mentioned his dislike of his own name, as it was too common. Riddle was not surprised upon being informed by Dumbledore that he was a wizard. He was in fact eager to believe that he had special gifts that no one else had. Riddle also showed an imminent fear of death, considering it to be a human weakness. He claimed that his mother could not have been a witch, because if she was magical, then she would have been able to avoid dying, and thought his father was a wizard. Riddle's abuse of his wizarding powers alarmed Albus. He resolved to keep a close eye on him, something he should have done in any case, seeing as he was alone and friendless. Dumbledore also warned Riddle that at Hogwarts he would be introduced to the laws that control the use of magic in the wizarding world, and that lawbreakers were punished with severity, not by Hogwarts, but the Ministry of Magic. Riddle's demeanor changed after Dumbledore reprimanded him. He became more guarded and shielded his reactions. Dumbledore proved Riddle was enough information to find Diagon Alley at platform 9 3/4. He also provided Riddle with information about school funds so that he could purchase his books and equipment. Travelling on his own to Diagon Alley, Riddle bought some second-hand robes and spellbooks for himself, along with his wand, which was 13.5 inches, made of yew with phoenix feather core from Ollivanders. Little did Riddle know that very wand would, in the future, share the same wand core as Harry Potter. Riddle was educated at Hogwarts from 1938 to 1945 and was sorted into Slytherin House, a nod to his ancestor Salazar Slytherin. During the summer break, he was forced to return to the Muggle orphanage, which he despised and dreaded more than any other place on Earth. Riddle described the way he was seen as poor but brilliant, parentless but so brave, a school prefect, a model student. Due to his exceptional acting abilities, he was able to convince virtually all of the Hogwarts staff and instructors that his facade was his real personality. The sole exception to this was Dumbledore, who, though not necessarily suspicious of Riddle, never forgot about his misdeeds at the orphanage, nor his unsettling behaviour during their first meeting. In turn, Riddle realised that he had been careless in showing Dumbledore his true character upon their first meeting, and never attempted to win him over, as he had with his other instructors. In time, he came to fear and despise Dumbledore. Over time, Riddle gathered to himself a gang of Slytherin thugs, a motley composition for the weak seeking protection, the ambitious sharing some shared glory, and the thuggish gravitating towards a leader who can show them more refined forms of cruelty, most of which would become the first Death Eaters. Riddle claimed they were his friends and made it appear so in public, but in truth, they amounted to little more than servants, and he cared almost nothing for them. He often manipulated them into committing petty crimes and other misdeeds, but none of these incidents were reliably traced back to the group. Upon arriving at Hogwarts, Riddle became obsessed with his heritage and began researching it with an insatiable hunger. He focused solely on the identity of his father, thinking him to be the magical parent, as he felt his mother could not have been a witch if she had died. He searched for his father's name in the school trophy room, in the records of Hogwarts prefects, and in the records of wizarding history, but found nothing to suggest his father had even attended Hogwarts. He was eventually forced to accept that his father was the Muggle parent and that his mother was the magical one. It was around this time that Riddle gave himself the alias Lord Voldemort to spare himself the reminder of his filthy Muggle father. Using his middle name, Marvolo, which was taken from his maternal grandfather, Riddle discovered his mother's heritage and the Gaunt's bloodline connection with Salazar Slytherin. Once Riddle learned of his ancestry, it was not long before he discovered the existence of the Chamber of Secrets under Hogwarts during his 5th year and tamed the basilisk which dwelt within. As the heir of Slytherin through his mother's family, Tom was able to open the chamber Slytherin had left behind in order to purge the school of all those who were unworthy to study magic. Around June 13th, 1943, the basilisk injured many at Hogwarts, with its last victim being a student named Myrtle Warren, who was killed in the girls' bathroom when she saw the basilisk's yellow eyes, as demonstrated by Draco Malfoy. The last time the chamber was opened, a mudblood died. In light of this incident, the Hogwarts Board of Governors decided that Hogwarts was to be closed. During that year, Riddle made a special request that Headmaster Armando Dippet would allow him to stay at school over the summer break. However, Dippet informed him of the governor's decision and denied his request. Realizing that the chamber would need to be closed and the culprit caught, in order to keep the school open and not have to return permanently to the orphanage, Riddle framed fellow student Rubeus Hagrid and his pet acromantula, Aragog. He convinced Dibbet that Aragog was the monster that had terrorized the school. Hagrid was expelled, and Riddle received an engraved trophy for special services to the school. Dumbledore, who did not believe that Hagrid was responsible for the killing, managed to arrange for him to be kept on as a Hogwarts groundskeeper. Distrusting Riddle, Dumbledore kept an annoyingly close watch on him after that. Due to this, Riddle realized that he would not be able to risk opening the chamber while still a student. As such, he would use this murder to eventually preserve a part of his soul within his own school diary, the very first of his 7 Horcruxes, hoping it would one day lead to someone finishing Salazar Slytherin's noble work. And that's it for today's video. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you won't miss part 2 of this series, where we dive even deeper into Tom Riddle's dark and twisted life.